This is Ben Summer. I own and operate BandsLikeRush.com, a music discovery podcast and blog featuring up-and-coming progressive rock bands. Enjoy this video edition of the podcast and check out my own music. Visit my website at bensummer.com. If you sign up for the email list, you'll get 3 free downloads. Hi, this is Ben with BandsLikeRush.com. Today I talked to 2 guys from the Wichita, Kansas-based band End of Story. Now, the last few bands I interviewed for the site were clear-cut bands like Rush. Today marks a bit of a return to an early tradition on the site, me featuring bands who it's really a stretch to call just like Rush. And as you'll hear in the interview, I frankly admit to Scott, the lead singer of the band, that I basically just happened upon his band and the music listening to a Rush channel on Django.com. Nevertheless, there is great similarity between late Rush style and End of Story style, and we even stumble into a story about how Scott got his start in the cover band scene by singing Rush covers. Apparently, although his voice these days has got a raspy, bluesy, soulful feel that makes people compare him to Lane Staley. In his early days, he was a pure Geddy Lee type Whale type singer. So enjoy End of Story. Okay, this is Ben at BandsLikeRush.com. I'm here on the line with Skot Reed and Dave Eichmann from the band End of Story. Dave, or rather Scott.
Yes?
You were asking a question right before we started. What was that again?
I was just curious, in your opinion, what exactly is it that qualifies End of Story as a quote-unquote band like Rush?
Good question. So I was going to go there eventually, but
okay.
In the interview. But here's a short answer is I'm browsing through bands on Django and iSound, and you came up on both when I was on the Rush channel. So that's
I see. Cool.
That's the stupid answer, and then and the honest answer is it's a pretty oblique relation musically. For sure. So I don't, another part of the answer is who gives a shit? I like the music, and my thought is I'm a Rush head, and the music that I like, it revolves around a lot of the same music that a lot of Rush fans like, which is these days there's so much cool progressive metal, harder rock. Rush themselves seem to be veering into back into their roots of more hard progressive rock, and so that just seems to be the theme in the last few interviews I've done on the site, where I've been getting bands that are just like, I don't know if you guys are Rush fans, but
we're both big Rush fans.
But maybe you're not consciously emulating. Is Rush not your biggest influence, you think?
No, not even close nowadays. But Dave and I, we played in our first band together back when we were in high school, and I won't tell you what year that was, but let's put it this way: we were learning everything off of Hemispheres in our high school band. So we were both big-time Rush fans, but over the years, I couldn't even tell you what the last Rush record I bought was.
Right.
Influences change, that's just the way life is. I certainly not that I dislike Rush in any way, shape, or form, but they're not. When I write songs, I'm not. Never am I, trying to emulate anybody for that matter, but certainly not Rush.
Right. Well, so that's I'm in the same boat with you, frankly. I mean, I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Rush, but it's odd that I started this podcast a year ago when really my heyday for Love and Rush was in college and high school. It probably sounds like the same deal with you.
Right, exactly. It's one of those things, though. I mean, there was such a big influence back in the day, and the music is so different and so I don't know, just so unique and so inspiring that no matter where they go or what they do, they're always going to be. You're always going to love them, no matter what they do, even if they put out a record that stinks. You know, that's
right.
just you. If you're a fan, you're a fan. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. So tell me about End of Story. Give me the story, if you will.
I started End of Story almost 15 years ago. I was living in Seattle for a while. I moved back from Seattle in 1996, and I had been doing cover bands for years and years and years. As a matter of fact, Rush was one of the bands that we covered because some of my natural vocal characteristics, especially my vibrato and my range, it didn't matter. We could play a ZZ Top song, and the first thing I'd hear when we came off stage was, "You sound like Rush." So we kind of, I mean, totally. So we went with that and started covering a bunch of Rush, and then I actually started trying to emulate Geddy Lee, and in the cover bands that I was in years ago, we kind of had a name as, that Rush band or whatever. But anyway, I'd played covers and toured the country and done that thing for years. And in Seattle, basically when I lived in Seattle, I did a lot of woodshedding, just soul searching and a lot of practicing, and started writing a bunch of new material in a whole different style, a whole different approach. And when I got back to Wichita, I contacted some musicians that I'd worked with previously, and End of Story was formed in August of '96, and there's been some member changes over the past 15 years. Several drummers, a couple of bass players. Dave and I hooked up. It'll be 7 years this March since we've been back together, and that's a done deal. There's between the two of us, nobody's going anywhere. So we put out our latest record's called The Sonic Blueprint. It came out in January of '09, and after that record came out, our drummer promptly quit. Oh. And it's one. Spend a year making a record, and you rehearse and get everything ready. You go play one show, and he's done. That's a whole other story. But
Stinker.
So we've been auditioning drummers for coming up on 2 years, and we've worked with a couple of guys for a length of time here and there, and so far we've just not found anybody that approaches the music the way we do, and B, they just don't have the same priorities as we do.
Right.
And although Wichita is the biggest city in Kansas, and there are a lot of incredibly talented musicians here, they're all spoken for. The talent pool, the available talent pool, is real shallow.
Right.
In our area. So anyway, we've got 3 records out. The first EP, just a 4-song EP, came out in 2000. That was myself and a different drummer and bassist. The self-propelled record, this is kind of a long story, but this is where we're headed. So the self-propelled record was a 17-song project that I started in '02, and throughout this project, a lot of things happened that put the brakes on it. My father passed away. I lost all creative energy. So right in the middle of this thing, I took a little hiatus. About the time I was ready to get back to it, and the drummer left, the bassist and I talked about carrying on. I just decided I wanted to finish the record on my own. I already had the drum tracks recorded. So I finished 7 songs of the 17, and then my son was born. Oh. And
I know what that does to a career.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyway, the project just got shelved, and it's just been sitting on a computer. And those 7 songs that were completed I did everything on them except the drums. I played the guitar, the bass, the vocals, everything, mixed, mastered, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And when our drummer left, when the drummer that was playing with Dave and I left, we've been writing new songs for a new record, but then we decided, hey, let's open up this self-propelled deal, finish up some of those songs that never got completed, and it's almost done. Let's just put it out as a full length. So we went back, and Dave played all the bass lines on all the songs. We've put his background vocals on everything, so it's as much like what End of Story is today as possible.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the final mixes, and I've got some final mixes to do, and then the mastering, and hopefully this one's just going to be a digital release, iTunes and whatnot. But hopefully it'll be ready to hit iTunes sometime in March.
Cool.
So, yeah, we just found out that the artist that did the cover art for our last record, The Sonic Blueprint, which has amazing artwork on it, he's on board to do the next, the self-propelled release as well. So hopefully he'll have some art together for us about the time I'm finished with the mastering, and we'll put that out. So anyway, that's self-propelled started in 2002, and we're going to finish it in 2011. So
cool.
Nothing like dragging a project out for a while.
Let's listen to a full track from the band's last album. This is called Catching On.
For the sum of your years, impressive in actions and words, so systematic, methodically mixing your next batch of lies. A fresh coat of make-believe covers the path where you hide. Chance meeting you never expected, my awakening here, and your timeline is all out of place. 2 steps ahead of you, armed with the miseries of those in your wake, answering questions that you get to ask, watching your words until you Save